Here's the problem every forensics analyst knows. A machine gets popped, and now you've got to work out exactly what the attacker did and prove it. By hand, that's days. So I pointed Verdict at a real NIST hacking case disk and let it run. A few minutes later, 9 findings, 8 of them confirmed. Verdict, suspicious. And everyone with a receipt you can verify offline. It does the grind for you, and you don't just get answers. You get answers you can prove. And running it is honestly simple. Verdict lives inside Claude Code, the AI assistant right in your terminal. You type one line, investigate, then the evidence, a disk image or a snapshot of the machine's memory. That's the whole command. Now watch this part closely. We sabotage one finding on purpose to prove the verifier is awake. Midway through, its replay comes back wrong, so it throws the finding out. Reruns the tool, recovers it clean. It catches the mistake on camera. So what's it actually doing under the hood? First, it locks the evidence, a read-only copy, so the original is never touched. That matters if this ends up in court. Then it splits into 2 teams of agents, working the same evidence from opposite angles. Each one runs real forensic tools and writes up what it finds. Anywhere they disagree, that conflict gets flagged out loud, not quietly smoothed over. And before anything makes the report, every finding is checked back against the raw tool output. And it's not guessing. It's driving 32 typed tools, 20 real forensic tools in Rust, plus 12 in Python for the crypto and the analysis, right inside the SANS SIFT workstation. And the key design choice? Not one of them can run arbitrary commands, so it can't be tricked into going rogue. Each tool answers one plain question. What ran on this machine? What did the system quietly log? What left over the network? And can we prove it? So why 2 teams? One assumes the attacker broke in to stick around and dig in. The other assumes they came to grab data and get out. Same evidence, opposite theories. Now, a single analyst tends to lock onto their first hunch and run with it. Verdict makes both sides argue it out on the record, shows you exactly where they clash, and only then calls it. You get to see the reasoning, not just a verdict handed down. And while it works, you're not just staring at a spinner. This is the live dashboard. Every finding pops up the moment it's proven, tagged confirmed, inferred, or hypothesis, so you always know how sure it is. A timeline builds itself, the pipeline lights up stage by stage, and every finding links straight back to the exact tool call behind it. Nothing hidden, nothing hand-waved. And here's the part I think really sets it apart. Every action is locked into a tamper-evident chain, hashed, Merkle-rooted, verifiable offline. Strong enough to back a courtroom self-authentication claim. But you don't have to take my word for it. Watch. The verifier passes. Now I flip a single byte in the audit log and run it again. It fails, and it names the exact record that broke. So the verdict isn't something you have to trust. It's a sealed artifact anyone can check. And once the verdict's signed, verdict stops. It doesn't act on its own. It hands your team a clean, signed case, and they decide what happens next. That's the whole idea. An orchestrator that takes the friction out of the grind, not an autonomous responder. And one machine is really just the demo. A real breach touches dozens of them. So I turned Verdict loose on a 22-host enterprise, host by host. Across that whole fleet, it caught 6 machines running the exact same admin tool at the exact same second. That's not normal. That's an attacker sweeping laterally, and it surfaced it as a lead for an analyst to confirm. And on a separate case, one that does have a published answer key, it hit 5 out of 5 expected findings, 100% recall, and the score is reproducible offline. And at the end, you get the one thing that actually matters, a signed verdict, and an honest one. It only ever says 3 things: suspicious, indeterminate, or no evil found in what we looked at. It never promises more than it can back up. Verdict is open source and ready today. Point it at your evidence, minutes instead of days, with a receipt for every single finding.